Video like.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Let's see. We got quite a few people in here. Halloween. Hey, good to see you. I see you found the new emojis. Uh, Terror. Good to see you. Sorry your plans changed. We'll miss you. Hope you can make it another day. Maybe Sunday, actually. Uh, Glad you could join us for what time you did, though. Let's see here. Radu. Good to see you again. It's been a while. Lolo. What's up? Tigress, welcome back. Let's see. Luna, hey there. Yep, you found the emojis as well. Purified, good to see you. Yep, my crazy mug's here. And for those who haven't noticed, for the members only section of the YouTube channel, we do have new emojis. One of which is actually the Dragon's Eye artwork, a rendition of it, anyways, done by our very own Luna. My daughter decided to do an emoji making fun of a Mando helmet that I happen to have lying around here. But it looks really good. And we have a few others that were donated by some other people, but for all the at least tier 1 and up members of the channel, those emojis are available. I'm still trying to find a way to get more emojis available to everyone, but to my knowledge, it's only to them. It won't let me add it for other people. My apologies. Got to work with what I got, right? That said, let's see. Make sure you do hit the like button. Smash that like button. It lets YouTube know you like the work we're doing, trying to get information out to all the seekers or anyone trying to get control of their own life and better themselves and their path. So those likes really do help us. So make sure you are hitting that like button. Bernolda's, good to see you. Tara, good to. I miss you too, Tara. Let's see, Purified. Purified, I love the D&D intro, Drake. Well, thank you. Yes, the D&D channel is officially live. It's Dad and Daughter D&D. I'll try and put a link in the comments again. We are just getting it started. Halloween has yet to get her first video up, but that's okay. We're trying to stagger them a bit so we don't just release everything at once. I have got a lot of beautiful comments from everybody from the intro video that her and I did together, as well as the first video that went up Wednesday, and your all support is very much appreciated. I thank you very much. And for those of you who have been asking me to share more details on the current campaign and what's gone on, how are they attempting to fix my world, I won't go into it here, but I will say that your comments have been heard, your questions have been heard, and I will try to do a summary of the entirety of this particular campaign as we transition into the new campaign. Part of that is I still have to know whether or not they achieve their goal or not, because we ain't there yet. But I'm excited to see what happens. So now that I know you all will be interested in that, we'll look into doing a summary of that. Time Machine, hey, welcome. Glad you could join us over from the UK. That's one of the reasons we moved the times around a little bit, so we can get some of them, make it easier on people across the pond. I have been asked if I can do them even earlier, and the truth is, with my daily schedule and everything I got going on, I cannot do them earlier. This is the earliest I can manage to do them. I do apologize. I know it's hard for everybody, but there's just one of me, and I can't be in all the places I need to be. Let's see. Right there. It's in the middle of the night here. I'm about to finish my Nutella jar. Oh boy, the sugar's about to kick in. Oh Lord, I know a lot of people who sit down with that Nutella jar. Honestly, it's always been too sweet for me, and that was even when I ate sugar. So now that I've not had sugar in so long, I think a spoonful of that would just knock my ass out. you just see me just lay down. But for those sugar bugs out there, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Joshua Vines, hey, good to see you. KRY, good to see you. So, I actually am going to do a video on this. So I'm just going to touch on it real quick because I actually want to do a full video. But it is a question I've been getting a lot. And before I do the video, I want to talk about some of my thoughts on this. But I also want to get some viewer feedback. We don't often do that, but this is one of those things where I've encountered it a lot. I've talked a lot about different practitioners, but I have found that my viewers and their unique experiences can often help me in better informing and building up a knowledge base to present. So one of the questions I keep getting a lot, whether it be email, comments, or in the Discord or in private messages, has been, Drake, I have physical limitations. I can't move around the ritual room. I can't stand. I can't sit. I can't walk circles. I've had a few people, they're full on bedridden. And they're wanting to know how they can practice magic or do magic or solutions for them to do magic spells and rituals that their particular limitations will not stop them from practicing their path. And this is a legitimate question because if you pick up a book, you go to any store, Amazon, doesn't matter, you pick up one of these books. They're going to talk about sitting in meditation. They're going to talk about walking around the circle clockwise. They're going to talk about walking at Wittershine or backwards. They're going to talk about which way you face during the ritual. And for someone who has mobility limitations, whether it be due to extreme pain or just full-on bedridden, or I got a buddy, full wheelchair. And I'll be honest, him and I were goofing around. He has a spare wheelchair, and he challenged me to spend the day in the chair with him. I did it, made it through the day, but I will tell you, I ain't got the skills to pay the bills there. He can squeeze on through a tiny doorway. I can't turn that thing around in a parking lot. So there is a limitation placed there, even though he's mobile, there is still spatial limitations. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone actually discuss these forms of limitations in a public setting of any kind. In fact, all the text acts like we can all walk around just fine. And many of you know, I've had joint problems in the past. I have not taken the best care of myself over the years that I probably should have. I am repairing that damage, but I'm one of the lucky ones. Now, for me, one of the easiest answers and one of the things that really helped me, even when I really could hardly get up and down and move around, is the astral sanctum. Not only is it a valuable tool for building up your arcane senses, is it a great tool for working on so many things in your magical practice, I found it instrumental when I could not do other spell work. See, hold on, I got a hey here. Is that Gerardo Lopez? Gerardo, I think is what it is. What are some of your do's and don'ts when it comes to invocation? All right, Gerardo, let me get to that. So for me, the astral sanctum was a real lifesaver because there were days I couldn't get out of bed. It was horrid. Or there were days where I could basically get to my chair and I could sit up straight, but that's about it. And if it wasn't a chair with a swivel, I wasn't going nowhere. I couldn't even look a different direction. And I forgot to silence my phone. I believe that was actually my daughter messaging me. So even here now, she's reminding me I forget stuff. So that was always a big one. So was trance work. And the reason I like these two concepts, which really, when you think about it, your astral sanctum and trance work, they're basically the same. But you can actually step into the sanctum remove your physical limitations, and you can continue to do your practice and everything, utilizing your arcane senses and the travel. And that really doesn't reduce your practice at all. I know a lot of magicians who even prefer it. So, but this one answer, though it does solve the problem, raised the question in my mind. Just because this one thing works, what would be some other ideas we could do if we could brainstorm? So if you don't have any ideas now, after the video, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to know what you do in cases where you're limited like that. All right. Gerardo, okay, your question. What are the do's and don'ts when it comes to invocation? This really depends on the person's opinions, Lopez. I'll be honest with you. Because my do's and don'ts are a little bit different from other magicians. So let me think here. Aznath Mason's a great example. She is a great practitioner, and she practices primarily through invocation work. So when you read her writings, she works more with invocation than evocation. Whereas I prefer evocation way before I get into invocation. And we talk about this a little bit in the invocation versus evocation differences videos. But invocation, you're actually invoking the entity into you. So for me, I'm not going to let anything into me, because all invocation is going to leave some energetic shift or change. And the deeper the invocation, the longer that shift and change will be, and the harsher it will be. This is actually why invocation is so powerful, because you can essentially take on the attributes of what you're invoking if you do it deep enough. But that's a double-edged sword, because it is going to cause some changes, and if you're not aware of it, it can really screw with you. So someone who's aware of what they're doing and they do it knowingly, and they're willing to shoulder the risks, and they're seeking that change and transformation, like a skilled practitioner like Aznath, it works for her. For me, I don't trust blindly anyone, period. So I prefer evocation, and I will only do invocation with entities that I truly, truly know, trust, and have worked with for a long time. So those are the kinds of things that are going to be personally based. Beyond that, I would say don't do invocation if you don't have a good understanding of grounding, shielding, or if you're currently having any emotional or mental issues at all. I wouldn't do it, because that energetic shift and change, it is already disorienting, confusing, and it can even be emotionally traumatic. So I wouldn't do that. And I would make sure that you are capable of grounding out the energy if need be. As to the don'ts, don't ever invoke something that you don't know what you're dealing with, ever. And Halloween, that's okay. It's always good to remind me, even if it's on an accident. And we are happy you could join us from work. Mugs up to you. Onika, what's the best way to ground and center your energy? Well, this is a tricky one because it's going to differ from person to person. First off, grounding and centering, people use them in one word like they're the exact same thing. And though they should be done together as a singular act, they are two separate things. And we'll talk about that real quick here. So grounding is essentially taking all the excess energy or negative energy that you've picked up through your day and pushing it out of you. Now, as we go through our day and we interact with people, let's be honest, you can't walk down the street without picking up someone's negative energy. And that doesn't mean they're a bad person. They could just be having a bad day and that's going to generate some negative energy. Easy peasy. So it doesn't mean they're a bad person. They don't got to be a bad person. Um, in fact, more 99% of the time, they're just having a bad day. We all got our stuff we're dealing with. If you're in a bad mood and you walk by somebody, guess what? Today, you're the one giving out negative energy. So grounding is essentially you get home and you focus on your energy body and you start pulling that negative energy out in some way. Now, I do have a video on grounding in which I cover a few of my favorite methods. My two favorite are what's often referred to as rooting, in which you actually view like a taproot system coming out of your spine as you sit down and you're pushing that energy through that taproot into the earth to be grounded out. The other one is water grounding. This one I think is actually my favorite. Um, and essentially here you stand under the shower or in a bathtub and you let the water wash over you. And as it washes over you, you actually watch it wash away all that negative energy, cleanse it out of you, and wash it straight down the drain. Now, most people's like, there, I'm grounded, I'm centered, negative energy's gone. Wrong. What you just did was you took a portion of a container and emptied it. So let me put it to you like this. You have a 5-gallon bucket. That bucket is filled halfway with water, halfway with olive oil. Now, anyone who's taken basic elementary science will know oil and water don't mix. They will actually separate. So grounding is essentially the ability to take the oil out of the bucket and leave the pure water. Okay. So if I have a 5-gallon bucket filled with oil and water and I remove the oil, that leaves my bucket 50% full. Now, if we're talking about your energy body, that's not good. That's not good. That's going to leave you tired. That's going to leave you exhausted, and it's going to create an energetic vacuum. Pro tip, energy will fill a vacuum, and the nearest energy is going to swarm in. Well, since we are surrounded by so many people and humans, you're not going to get clean energy when it fills that vacuum. You're just not. This is where centering comes in, because not only are you wanting to push that energy out, but you're wanting to pull energy in, and you want to focus it at the center of your core so that the energy is centered and fills you. This is causing two things. This is balancing out the energy throughout your energy body, aka centering you, while it's also making sure the container, the bucket, or you are 100% completely filled with calm, neutral energy, or the energy that you choose, so that there's not an energy vacuum. And I honestly always encourage my students to try different grounding and centering techniques and find out which one works for them, because different people's going to find that different ones work better, generally based on personality. I know a lot of people, the root technique, they don't like it because they live on a 3rd-story apartment, and even though the technique doesn't care they live on a 3rd-story apartment, their brain tells them the root's not going into the ground. And that messes with their visualization, which messes with their ability to utilize that technique. Other people, they can use it just fine on a skyscraper. You got to take the person into account a little bit on that one. I hope that answers your question a bit. Let's see, Scrimps ahoy, hey everyone. Sorry, I'm a little, no problem. Glad you could join us, Scrimps. How do you visualize your own core? Well, for me, again, this is one that's a little different for everyone. Me, I actually visualize my entirety of my energy body, and I view the core as right here, centered on my sternum. So that is always where I view my energy center. Um, and for me, that makes a lot of sense, because anytime there's a reaction, mental or emotional, this is where I feel it. This is the place where it all wells up originally. Excitement, fear, positive, negative emotions, it doesn't matter. It's right here. Some people do visualize it more in the gut because they do feel it down more in the gut. Your core is actually essentially wherever you want it to be, Raduk. But yeah, for me specifically, that's where I visualize it. But I visualize my entire energy body as a singular, and I make sure I start here, but I push that energy out and make sure it's equally and balanced and distributed equally. You gotta make sure you go out from the core. So once you start feeling that energy body, literally visualize it filling. And many people enjoy using the chakra system too. So you go from chakra to chakra to chakra, which is totally groovy if that system and visualization works best for you. Yep. We got an ice cream truck that likes to buzz by. I was wondering if y'all would hear that mess. Let's see. Yes, that does answer my question. Thank you. This is something I'm being called to focus on right now since I'm an energetic sponge. Yes, I would also work on your shielding. So check out our video on basic shielding. Because shielding shielding will stop you from being an energetic sponge of energies you don't want. That's the entire point. So what you do is you pull your aura in. That's the thing most people forget when they shield. They're like, I shield and don't do nothing. Well, if your shield is 6 inches to a foot out from you, but your aura, you just leave it flopping all around, in everyone's personal space beyond the shield, that's not going to do you no good. You have to be behind a shield for a shield to do its job. So work on your shielding as well, because I know being an energy sponge, that can cause you some issues. I know that. So yeah, work on your shielding as well as your grounding, and your centering, and I think you'll notice a massive change quickly. But like I said, make sure when you're putting your shields up, you're pulling that aura in behind them. That's really important. And it's going to feel weird the first few times you do it. It is. It's going to feel weird. So it's totally cool if I use the chakra system instead of the whole. Yes, it's totally cool. They're both not literals. They're both more of a visualization map to do the same thing. So if the chakra system works better for you, which it does, a lot of people likes that step-by-step systematic approach. Groovy. That's a lot easier for them to handle than the totality of the energy body as a singular whole. That's why when people start arguing whole energy body over chakras, I don't see what the difference. You're getting to the same point. You're just using a different visualization. Kind of like the shamanic world tree and the tree of life. They're both maps of the cosmology. One has 3 points on it. One has 11 or 8 or 10, depending. But you see what I'm saying? They're mapping the same thing in a different philosophy. What are your thoughts on the hollow earth theory? Purified, I'll be honest with you. I have seen nothing to make me buy into it. In fact, I know a lot of geologists, and I mean professional, scientifically trained geologists. Um, they've done plenty of core samples and all kinds of other things that seem to point to the complete opposite of a hollow earth in the concept of there's literally like a hollow earth with societies in it. Also, when you compound that with marine biologists that study the depths of the ocean, if the hollow earth theory was true, most of our oceans would already be dead. Um, so, between marine biology and geology, it seems extremely improbable, bordering on impossible to me. And we do also know that the extremes of the geothermal movements in the earth of lava and stuff, things that make volcanoes work, would also, again, add a whole new layer of complications for the hollow earth concept. Now, if you want to use the hollow earth theory as is the core of our planet, liquid hot magma, um, that I would say is still in some debate in some scientific circles, but that one at least has more probability because now you're not trying to tell us there's a civilization here. And this one at least could function within what we already know within geology and marine biology. Reduk, the reassurance is an important thing. No problem, Reduk. That's why I'm here. Like I said, there is more than one way to get up this mountain. There is. There really is. Um, Lopez, what is my thoughts on Freemasons? Oh, that's a hard one. First off, you have to understand there's different levels and tiers of Freemasonry practice. Let's be honest. You got those Freemasons. They're good people in their community. They do volunteer work. They help out. They do food drives. They do clothing drives. Um, but more than anything, it's almost like a secondary VFW where they get together, they talk, they drink some beer, they watch sports, and they got a good camaraderie and they do what they can to help their community as best they can. Okay. Then you got the ones that go deeper into the Freemasonry teachings and the practices and the philosophies and the stuff like that. More of what people think of when we talk about secret society Freemasonry. And again, I've met a few of these Freemasons, and they're not the secret society conspiracy theorist required things. They're just like any other spiritual order where they've got their initiations, they've got their philosophies. Honestly, they're not all that different from a lot of your other magical orders. Though Freemasons, depending on which group you're with, some even don't practice magic, some do, some don't. Um, but honestly, they're just good people. And most of them, their focus is really on helping the communities around them, which I think is pretty awesome. Um, I've been told that due to family lines and lineages, I have the right to walk up and sign up and join a Freemason lodge. And there's a lot of people who have told me I should do so. I help my community, I do that. But I don't really have a desire or want or need to sign up with a lodge or anything like that. Um, but at the same time, I've seen the good that they have done in many communities. And you know what? When someone's wanting to help the community, that's pretty cool to me. Honestly, I've seen the Masons do more for the community than some other groups who try to claim um, to be community driven. That'd be a nice way. Yeah, let's go with that. That's a nice way of saying it. And I'm sorry, I've been staring at the screen all week, so my eyes, if you see me kind of trying to focus on the letters, I apologize. Let's see. I've been working on a novel and have writer's block. What entity would you work with? Work through me like a muse. Well, the first ones to come to mind would be the Muses. That's kind of their whole shtick, really. You could also go to if you work with dragons and you're far enough along in dragon magic, you could reach out to Zephyr Sill. He loves creativity. Um, Bragi, which is actually a god of poetry. So is Odin. Odin's actually a god of poetry. Thor, though he doesn't get a lot of credit for it, he actually is a profound storyteller. So any of those entities would be really good. But the Muses actually comes to mind real quick. That's actually where we get the term like a muse. Purified. Thank you. Yep. That's really the only way I know to look at things. I don't take things blindly ever, Purified. So I try to look at the evidence and on how well it could possibly potentially function. And unfortunately, for a lot of these conspiracy theories, they just don't function. And before I get asked about it, like flat Earth, let's just go ahead and clear this one out while we're here. You can mathematically and geometrically prove the Earth is not flat, period. We've known this since the age of sailing, because a ship that would sail outward would be able to shrink in size as it moved away in the distance, but the whole ship would be visible. The whole ship. If you take something on a flat plane and move it at a distance, it appears to get smaller, but the whole thing is visible. Okay? However, if you do this on a boat in the ocean, it does not follow a straight plane. Instead, it appears the ship sinks into the ocean as it follows that curve. This is one of the first ways that they proved the Earth was not flat. And then there's, pilots, all kinds of other things. I mean, it's just the evidence out. There's no way the Earth is flat. Also, there's the people who have literally sailed around the world instead of off the world. They sailed around it. So we got plenty of documented things. All right, that's pretty cool. Great questions, though, actually. And, there are certain topics that I may giggle at. Please do not take that as a reason not to ask your question. We are here to learn. We are here to have fun. And I do respect your all's questions, like the hollow earth theory. That is actually one that I'll get asked a lot. And I do revisit it, and I do look at the geology and the marine biology and other things, because I always do stop to ask myself, what if? And I've told y'all before, I can't do things blindly. I can't believe it because it's cool. I have to approach it with data. That's just who I am. So that's how I will answer it as best I can. And until somebody presents me with data, otherwise, that's usually where I stand. Which is why I have such a controversial opinion on aliens. Do I think it's probable? I think it's extremely probable. But I don't think that we're their prime concern, first off. If anything, if they fly by, they're going to roll their windows up and go faster, because seriously, let's be honest, Earth is kind of the ghetto of the universe at this point. And as far as them living amongst us, yeah, I've not seen anything of that either. So it's just one of those things where I need more data, I need more proof. And unfortunately, a lot of our UFO researchers and authors these days are taking anything and everything, and they're making the data fit their theory. And you can't do that. You actually have to follow the evidence instead of make the evidence fit the theory. The same thing that happens to anybody who passes on, Lopez. You will go to whatever realm or entity that you work with and align with. This whole concept of eternal punishment or eternal life, they're really kind of bupkis. And you can really see this if you study Norse mythology. Norse mythology has so many freaking afterlives available. Most people know of Valhalla and they know of Helheim. And most people will tell you that Valhalla is heaven and Helheim is hell. Wrong. First off, Valhalla is not even heaven. It's not. Good people, being a good person does not get you to Valhalla. Valhalla was Odin's hall. Odin's hall. People he specifically selected for his hall, warriors, people who died in battle, who showed extreme bravery, courage, and battle prowess. Those were the people he would select for Valhalla. Helheim was not a place of punishment. Helheim was the entirety of the land of the dead, with the goddess Hel, who was actually the caretaker. And Helheim is actually presented as almost a continuation, a next stage of life. It's actually a very beautiful place. There were very, very specific places set aside for people who did things that were really, really bad, like horrible, horrible people, oath breakers, murderers, and like. There were places set aside for those. Many of them consisted in Helheim, but they were not Helheim itself. Also, to that, each of the gods had their own realm in which you could go to. So you could end up in Elfenheim, Vanaheim. Freya had her own hall. I think it was, I never can pronounce it, starts with F. So those chosen by Freya would go to her. Um, so in this one viewpoint, you had multiple versions of the afterlife. And honestly, in Greek mythology, you had it too. You had the Elysian Fields, you had Hades, and you had Tartarus. Um, right off my top of my head that I know of. They may have had more. Greek is not my strong suit. Um, so whoever you are, regardless of the path you practice, you will go to the afterlife and or deity that you align with. Now, many of you know I work with a lot of entities that represent death. So technically speaking, I kind of have my pick of if I wanted to go to these different places. And I've even asked, and yes, I can actually transition between them depending on my feelings at the different times. And another thing I want to point out, left hand path does not mean evil, does not mean bad. This modern concept of left and right hand path is annoying. You can work on the left hand path and work with a healing deity. In fact, some of the best healers I know are left hand practitioners. So just because you are on the left hand path does not make you a bad person. In fact, it doesn't. I know plenty of people who are right hand path practitioners that easily they're the worst people in the scum of the earth. But by their practice, they dot their I's, they cross their T's, and by their practice, they're completely right hand path practitioners. That doesn't make them a good person. So, I mean, if you're called to work on a left hand path, the same thing will happen to you that happens to everyone else. Okay. Oh, some good news. Some good news. We are getting ready to attempt to shoot the tarot class, and my goal is to have it ready for launch before Halloween. I'd like to do a Halloween launch for the class because Halloween's a great time for divinations, as is Yule. So if I manage to get the class up and running for a little bit before or on Halloween, that allows us to take that entire wonderful chunk of divination period for people to get started learning tarot who are interested in taking the class. Now, that said, we have all the write ups, everything's ready to go. We're ready to start shooting. Y'all know how technology loves me. So, assuming no technological oopsies, we should be able to hit our goal. We should be able to hit our goal. If technology decides otherwise, then I'll just do my best to work around it. That's the best I can do. But that is my goal. So hopefully we will make that goal, everyone, and we will be able to see that class live on the school very soon. Is there a God for Windows? I don't know, because if there is, actually, I don't think I've ever had an issue out of Windows, the program, knock on wood. I usually have problems in other areas there, Luna, unfortunately. I'm more worried about microphones, cameras, and stuff like that, or even the laptop just dying on me. It's stuff like that that I'm worried about. Oh yeah, all those updates. I'll admit those updates coming for the new Windows that has me a little worried. To the point, me and my wife's already sat down and discussed this, and I'm already have a contingency plan for if my computer just decides to turn up its toes and give up come updates. Because yeah, me and technology, right? that said, I've done some research looking into this new Windows and the way it works with digital media and the fact that things are going to more, well, content creators like me here on YouTube. That new Windows layout, that might help me out a little bit. Might do it. I hate to admit that. But again, I've only seen the preview, and you know how they show you that really cool preview that's like that's what I need, and then you get it and it ain't nothing like the preview, and yeah. Um, so I'm not getting hopeful. Not getting hopeful at all because yeah, I don't trust previews no more. Sorry. I'm cynical like that. That's just me. Oh, I do want to say this though. I have been doing a lot, and I do mean a lot of magic this week. Working for those people in Louisiana and those southern terrains down there that got hit by Hurricane Ida. Many of those places down there are still without power, though I am understanding that power is coming back on, especially in required places, hospitals, old folks' homes, retirement communities, the stuff, people who really need the electricity first and foremost. Us young whippersnappers, we can survive. Some of the younger people's complaining and crying about it, but they'll get over it. Just because you're whiny don't mean you need power. There's a difference in whiny and literal physical health needs. So because of that, I have been working a lot down there. Many of you know I have friends and family in those areas as well. All my friends and family are good. They've all checked in. But whether it's just in your prayers or if you want to include them in a bit of spell work, send a little energy their way. The people down there could definitely use it. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. But I have been spending a lot of time doing work within that vicinity this week, and it's been a bit tapping, a bit distracting, but it's for a good cause, I believe. So there is that. Okay, hold on. I gotta finish reading this. Okay, so I love Purified that you guys are picking up my crazy ass terminology here. Oh my god, that tickles me to death. So Purified asks, if I remember correctly, our soul is too big to fit in our meat suits. So we only have a fragment of it. But my question is there other fragments of my soul on other earths? That's a fair question, Purified. And this is something that has been debated somewhat amongst different practitioners and magicians. What we know for sure is, at least on this rock, circling this sun, one fragment at a time only. Period. No exceptions. That much we know, which is probably a good thing. I don't know if Earth could handle more than one Drake. God help us. I know it couldn't handle more than one of my wife or my daughter. Those two, well, you saw how hyper she was. And my wife just feeds into that. So, yeah, imagine being in the same house with those two. As to other Earths and other dimensions and other timelines, those kinds of concepts, that is a little more unknown because the reason it's unknown is we don't know whether or not, if it's a different Earth and a different dimension, is it actually the same soul or is it a different soul? This is where the philosophical debate amongst mages comes in. And since it is different timeline, different dimension, different process, we're not sure it's the same reality. And if a soul exists within the reality, then it, in theory, would be limited to that reality. And thus, this other reality would have a different version of the soul. So that's one of those little areas where some of that's still going to be a little bit of guesswork. Some of it's going to, and it's really hard to narrow it down on that one, Purified. Currently, from what I've understood and what I've been able to gather in my notes so far, I would say both are probable, but I know the question is going to come. Which direction do I lean? Which do I think is the more probable given the information I currently have? And given the information I currently have, I actually find it more probable that the different reality has a completely different reality of our soul. It's not a shared soul across realities, if that makes sense. I'm not saying that I think that is for sure. That's it. Put a pin in it. We're done. I'm only saying with the information we currently have that is the more probable reality of it, if that makes sense. Are there any good sources? I've been trying to find good books on soul theory and stuff like that. I have not. Because every time I think I got one, I get past like chapter 1 or 2, and the next thing I know, we're off in conspiracy land. And I do not know how soul study and conspiracy theory ends up in the same books, but it seems to be almost guaranteed. So I am still looking for good books. So I always have people recommending me books on that and stuff. But I haven't found any that I can personally recommend yet. And it's I think part of the problem is a lot of magicians like to publish things that they can prove. Whereas spiritualists, they'll publish what they feel. And that if you publish what you feel without evidence, well, if it sounds good, it sounds good. But the evidence side becomes a much harder thing, and that makes it harder to publish. And thus, finding a good book, from my perspective, because I am an evidence-based guy, there may be perfectly great spiritual books out there that are not remotely evidence-based that a lot of people may enjoy. I'm thinking I'm going to have to expand the areas of books in which I'm currently looking at in order to try and find some good ones. Lolo, hey Drake, me again. I used to always bleed out my nose after having vivid dreams. As a child, does that mean it? Actually, no, it doesn't. First thing, a child's membranes in their nasal cavities and everything are not very calloused or developed. They're very sensitive. Vivid dreams can actually increase blood pressure and increase stress levels, and it is actually very common for nosebleeds to occur during a dream state, especially in younger children. Also depends on climate. So very cool climates, dry air climates, and nosebleeds are prone to anyone, and children are definitely get the high end of that stick for sure. As far as metaphysical significance or spiritual significance, no, it currently has none. Let's see, Lopez, Drake, for people who've never worked with a spirit before and want to, what method would you recommend for them to try? I would definitely go with. So, from your question, I'm assuming you're talking straight beginners. I would actually go and look into our Arcane Senses video as well as the free class at the school at workingdragonmystic.com. And I'd start developing your arcane senses. First off, you can't work with a spirit if you don't have your arcane senses developed. That's first. Okay, let's get that. Next, I would say build your astral sanctum because you can actually invite the spirit there and work with them in your sanctum. And this is kind of a form of it's a form of evocation, though it's more astral travel than evocation because evocation generally assumes you're bringing the presence closer to the material realm. In this case, you're not, but you are still able to work very much with the spirit in a very, very beginner friendly environment. You're in control of the environment, obviously, and it's easy to just call them into your sanctum. That would be the best place. And then beyond that, I would actually begin working your way up to contact evocation and astral evocation, which if you take Dragon Magic 101, we actually talk about contact evocation, and that's actually where Dragon Magic 101 actually starts working with the dragons, is just making contact with them, not actually moving. You're not moving them or you any closer to one another. You're just making a interdimensional contact with them. That would be the easiest two places to start, would be contact evocation and working with them in your sanctum. Sanctum being hands down the easiest place to get started. So there is that. Captain Trips, what are you talking about? I hope you're not about to get political up in here on me, Trips. Well, I saw your earlier comment, which I had to avoid because of political issues in the world today. So I just, figured I'd bring that up. Well, first off, Trips, let's be clear here. I don't view Gnosticism as any kind of a prison. Okay? To biasedly and blindly say that this religion over here is bad, this religion over here is good, this religion's wrong, this religion's wrong. We all have different belief systems. We all have different paths. And organized religions, they got theirs. They can do good things. Yes, they can do bad things. There is no organized religion on this earth with clean hands. Not a one. Not one single one has clean hands. So I've said it before and I'll say it again. When it comes to what most people call religion bashing, but I know sometimes it's more of a question or whatnot. It's more philosophical, not necessarily bashing. We do avoid it here. So I do not view Gnosticism as a prison. Yes, I left it, but I left organized religion in itself. So I won't join an organized religion. I don't even view myself as pagan. In fact, I've received more hate, more ridicule, more mental and emotional and physical abuse from pagans than any other religion that I've encountered in my 40 years on earth. That doesn't mean I blame pagans. That doesn't mean I blame paganism. I don't refer to paganism as a prison. It means that organized religion and group thinking without individuality is dangerous. End of story. I know plenty of wonderful, absolutely wonderful people within Gnosticism. I know some shitheads too. I know some absolute dirtbags. But again, every religion I know great people and I know dirtbags. So that's why I don't, when I meet a person, I don't care what you are. Your religion, don't care. I want to know who you are. Who are you as an individual? And I think that is actually the best way to do it. That's the way I've done it now for many, many years. I try to figure out who the individual is. Because regardless of the religion or the faith you follow, you, the individual, you're the problem. If you're a good person, then you will represent your path in a wonderful way. If you're a crap person, well, you're going to make your path look like crap. That's why you should focus on the individual. We are too quick to judge a person by their path or their religion. I know a lot of left-hand practitioners who turn their nose up at right-handed practitioners. And at the same time, they'll turn around and complain because right-handed path practitioners turn their nose up at left-hand practitioners. It's like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Both of y'all need to stop turning your nose up and just get to know each other. Luna, where there's people, there's dirtbags. We might actually have to do that, yeah, because it's weird. Because running this channel, I've met so many wonderful people. So many people who have an interesting viewpoint on life that actually gives me faith in humanity. At the same time, y'all know I do everything I can to help my community. I help people. I do a lot of outreach. And that's because I do care for people. And it's ironic because people are often the thing that depresses me most, because I watch how they don't give others a chance. They judge them before they even know them. And that breaks my heart. But no Borg here. No. We teach individual thinking here. That's why I reiterate, there are many ways up the mountain. Every practitioner has their own road, their own path. And when you look at the 28 laws of magic, which we've done a video on, it actually talks in there that if what you're doing is working for you, freaking fantastic, keep on doing it. It's true. Now, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and not ever getting results, yeah, change something, adjust it. You'll be surprised. Oh, no problem, Trips. No problem. And I do appreciate how you handled it too, because we have had people get up here and whoo, yeah, they start bashing religion's bad. So I wanted to take the question and understand it, and get your point of view. But I also wanted to make sure, I had to let you know, because, yeah, I think this is the first time I've seen your name here. So, we don't do the religion bashing stuff. So I appreciate you too. Mugs up. Lolo, I don't know if I could say that even, because it's weird. I would generally, probably 10 years ago, said, yes, spirituality is the way. Find your spirituality. The problem is that mentality has it's created an interesting breed of practitioner these days, where anything I do is okay. It's my path, my practice, it's my reality. And they literally shut their ears to any advice, any criticism, or anything. And these are the people who, it's sad and slightly humorous that they tell you to shut up and mind your own business, and they can do money spells till they're blue in the face. They couldn't manifest enough money for a stick of gum, much less to pay their bills. And any practitioner who wants to help them perhaps adjust their spell working method or whatnot to progress them, nope, they'll shut them down. In fact, they will just start spitting hate at them for someone trying to help them. So that spirituality thing's an interesting one, because I would say, in essence, finding your individual path and spirituality that works for you, is important, and is probably a fairly true statement. But it would only be a true statement if you maintain an open mind, you're willing to listen, you're willing to learn, and you're willing to grow as a part of it. That's where I get hesitant these days, is so many people use that statement to just shut the doors and not listen. And that cuts you off from growth, which defeats the entire purpose altogether. And again, that's a sad thing to me. Now, I've said I'm not much of a spiritual person, particularly. I don't believe, though someone made the comment that my approach to magic, my scientific method on magic, my process that process, that scientific method to magic is my spirituality. Now, as I mentioned in a live stream when I first told you all about that, that's true. That could very well be viewed as a spirituality format for me. Um, unless I just wanted to double down and be contrary, which I won't lie, I can be contrary. Ask my wife. I can turn a phrase and just turn it against you so quick. But that's not going to help anything in a true conversation about magic and understanding. So when it comes to magic and understanding, I might make a joke or two here or there during the conversation, but I do stay on point. And I took her point in what they were saying, and they're right. They're right. Even though most people don't view science as a spirituality, when you apply it and you live your life by it and you're bettering yourself through it, in way I am true. I'm using a scientific method to do magic. And there's probably scientists out there that roll their eyes at this concept, but I'm doing it and it's working. That, in essence, becomes a form of spirituality. And I will admit that. And it allows me to approach magic in a neutral framework method that also allows me to teach other people a base framework. And then they can take that base, better themselves, and make it whatever they want. They can make it unique to them and true to them. And that in and of itself, I think, is another thing that I love about my practice. It allows me to reach so many people because I'm not just in a specific little bottleneck. What's your opinion on the Kabbalion? Are those laws true? Are you talking about the Hermetic laws? Because the Hermetic laws, if you look at them, they're a distillation of the 28 laws. You can actually fit the Hermetic laws into the 28 laws. As far as laws that are used within Kabbalic works outside those, I'm drawing a blank on those, Reddick, I'll be honest. It seems like there are rules inside certain Kabbalah texts that go outside those, but I'm drawing a blank. And it's been a long week, mate. It's been a really long week for me. I need more coffee. Y'all, I have a wonderful wife because I almost forgot to make coffee for stream. And she came home from work, which you all probably heard her come in, and she brought me coffee. She's amazing. Let's see, too busy. Good. How do you know if you aren't getting results or if the results are real subtle, like on a soul level? Well, Purified beat me to it. Yeah, your journal. Your journal is hands down the best thing. Because most magic, most of the time, especially starting out, will manifest subtly. So big example for this is many of you know because I have the spell here on the channel, the long-term prosperity spell. I started doing that spell, and I never saw like a large check just drop in mine and my wife's hands or pockets or anything like that. But I was challenged to keep that going for a whole year. Now, there was an event or two that changed in our lives suddenly and unexpectedly, but it didn't register anything. However, when I looked back over the whole year, you could easily see a trend line in our bank account. Our financial standing was just slowly going tick, 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 tick. Now, month to month, that little tick was so small, you wouldn't notice it because, yeah, it's a little extra dollar there. But since it was over the course of the whole year, our starting position and our ending position at the end of the year was like that. And I probably would have never noticed it, much like walking on a very, very slight incline. You don't realize that incline's there, it's just too small, but the altitude's increasing. if it was not for my journal, my notes, and other things. Actually, at this time, I wasn't even tracking prosperity on a financial scale like that. I actually noticed it because I called one of my teachers and she's like, okay. So I told her about my notes and she's like, you didn't track your finances in your notes while you're doing a prosperity spell? I was like, no, why would I? Yeah, I'm an idiot. So she challenged me to go pull up all my bank stuff and graph that out. I did. And boom, there it was right in front of my face, big as I. So yeah, that journal is hands down the best way to do it, T Busy. Hands down. Oh, yep, you're right. Thanks, Purified. Halloween, thanks you also. She's usually the one that calls me on time. Um, anyways, people, I will go ahead and get off here. If you are interested in fun and geeky content like D&D, check out our new channel. I'll drop the link one more time below. When I'm over, I'll put the little after stream comment up so y'all can go over there and check it out. We do have some videos up. We do have a video coming out Tuesday. I do not remember on what it's on. I'm wishing I did right now, but I don't. So I apologize. On this channel, an actual occult video. I was wanting to ask you all, and you can comment once this video is posted underneath it. I noticed a lot of you tended to really like the vlog style videos a bit more than the way my setup on my normal videos are. If you all would like me to do more of the relaxed vlog talking style videos for all the videos, just let me know and I'll do what I can and do more videos like that if that's actually what you guys enjoy. Because just because you're learning something don't mean we can't make it enjoyable for you. Also, do try to remember the people who were affected by the hurricane. And if you have the extra time or energy to say a little prayer, make a little offering, then by all means do so. It's always appreciated. Always good to help others out, especially magically, because it takes so little and it can make such a drastic impact. Vlogs are, yeah, they are fun, and yeah, relaxing is probably something I need to do more of. Luna, you ain't lying. All right, everyone, I'm going to get off here. I'm going to go enjoy some coffee, go bug the wife, and try to actually have a day off tomorrow. That's my attempt. We will see if I can pull it off. Lord knows I need me a day off. You all have a fantastic weekend. Have fun. Stay as safe as you can while having fun. And I'll see y'all Sunday for Magical Coffee Hour. Take care. Bye-bye.